Shipping. Shipping.
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Welcome to Straight Talk, a place where we dot the I's and cross the T's with your host, the Liquid Monkey, and our recurring guests, Professor Redpill, a scholar who knows his way around international intrigue, and Punish Vasanam, a young man traversing the treacherous world of American college campuses. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Hello, Josh. How are you?
I'm here, brother. What's up, man? Thanks, brother.
Today, I want to start this show with reading an article because I've been worried about the news that I've been having about the newer generation, men between 18, 25, even 35 years old, who seem to have smart men who, seeing the consequences of their action, they understand that the only way to win the game is not to play. And what avenues do they have in this world so hell-bent in punishing them just for existing is simply shut in their world, in their own world, behind closed doors, and engaging activities by taking out order takeaway food and engaging in virtual jobs with as little as little social communication as possible. And I've seen that this case is already rampant somewhere else in the world, in Japan. I understand that there is a terminology for this. It's called the hikikomori. It's called the herbivore men or shut-in men who live, and this is not an exaggeration, they live for years on end without leaving their rooms. They just go, they live with their parents, they get jobs that pay some bills, and they help with the economy of their household, and they live willingly in their rooms, asking for takeaway, going to the bathroom, coming back, and existing for 23 hours inside their rooms for years on end. And this is not a hyperbole. This is not an exaggeration. This is not, I'm not speaking abstract. This is literal. Imagine this, gentlemen. Up to 1.5 million young men, mostly young men, who willingly and they choose to live as inmates in a prison of their choice. I'm going to read an article, and I would very much like to know your opinion. It's an article from the New York Times that was published on June 5th, 2023. The New York Post says the following: in Japan, An estimated 1.5 million people, many of them young men, now live in complete isolation. The problem has grown so severe that the Japanese have a term for it, hikikomori, one who literally withdraws from society. Some 6,000 miles away, the United States is experiencing its own form of hikikomori. During a recent interview with Chris Williamson, a British broadcaster based in Austin, Texas, the political economist Nicholas Everstadt discussed the fact that 7 million men of prime working age are currently without employment and not seeking jobs. Many of these men, said Everstadt, spend inordinate amount of time indoors, totally withdrawn from society. They play video games, watch pornography, and tend to engage in heavy drug use, according to the author of Men Without Work, carried out by academics at Kyushu University in Japan, has found out that a low testosterone level is one of these common metabolic signatures of hikikomori in young social recluses, which is important to know because testosterone levels among young American men are plummeting and have been for years. And take a look at this. The drop now reportedly affects 1 in 4 men in the US. It's commonly assumed that testosterone fuels antisocial behavior. In December, Avatar director James Cameron made headlines when he claimed that testosterone is a toxin that needs to be worked out of one's system. Last month, NPR discussed the association between toxic masculinity and testosterone. But this belief is not supported by science. There is not strong evidence to suggest that men with higher level of testosterone are overly aggressive or violent. On the contrary, testosterone has been linked to more social behavior in males, while low testosterone levels in males are associated with social anxiety and socially submissive or avoidant behaviors. People with social anxiety are at an increased level of developing depression. Moreover, according to the Cleveland Clinic, low testosterone levels often mimic symptoms of depression. Research carried out by Dr. David Tenwood, an expert in human behavior, has shown that many ways in which testosterone improves both individual behavior and broader cooperation. In one study, Tenwood and his colleagues identified a clear association between the administration of testosterone and increased level of social cooperation and better moral judgment. Low testosterone, otherwise known as hypogonadism, meanwhile, was associated with brain fog, poor memory and focus, and an overall lack of mental clarity. Men lacking testosterone often are also at risk of developing noticeable larger breasts, a condition known as gynecomastia. Research carried last year by scientists at Emory University identified the ways in which testosterone influences the hypothalamus, the part of the brain responsible for the creation of oxytocin, the so-called love hormones, which also mediates the risk of social withdrawal and rises in tandem with testosterone. Mark Spritzer, a behavioral neuroendocrinologist at Middlebury College, whose research focused on the cognitive benefits of testosterone, told the Post that there is now considerable evidence that testosterone enhances some form of learning and memory. Moreover, he added, there are a number of studies to have shown that low testosterone is a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia in older men. Lastly, he says his research has also shown that testosterone stimulates the growth of brain-derived neurotrophic factors. BDNF plays a vital role in memory recalling, learning, and decision-making. Social isolation and other stressors, noted Dr. Spritzer, cause adult neurogenesis to decrease, and we found that testosterone can help reverse the negative effects of social isolation in the brain. Gentlemen, we seem to be having an epidemic of low testosterone in young men, both in Japan, in the United States, and soon Europe and Latin America. I would very much like to know your opinion.
Yeah, I mean the thing is you gotta look at like the what's their diet consist of a lot of soy, processed foods. Studies, if you read a lot of studies, they'll also indicate, nutrition that diets high in like saturated fats, high fructose corn syrup, a lot of processed food, soy, as well as seed oils, like canola oil, cottonseed oil, all these. What's the other one? There's another
Highly
oil
processed.
I'm forgetting. Palm oil. That's the other one. These are really toxic oils to be consuming. So I mean, like if you're consuming any of this, like high fructose corn syrup or seed oils for that matter, I cut them out about a year ago, and I noticed a significant difference in my cognitive ability, my ability to focus. My testosterone increased. And this isn't like health advice or any type of nutrition advice. I'm not an expert in that, but just my personal experience. I noticed, like I said, my mood changed a little bit. I became more clear and calm, and I had better workouts, and like I said, mostly it was just the mental focus. And Yeah, I mean, it's definitely associated with diet, and then with this Frankenfood stuff that's being sent in, across the world, McDonald's and all this nasty stuff that I don't eat.
I have heard an appalling news regarding the United States. Is it true that United States is labeled as the most obese country in the world? With
Most obese
I
Mexico
I
has the
haven't
most
heard this.
obese. Mexico's also
United
has one of
States
the highest
ranks.
diabetes. Mexico has a higher obesity rate than the United States, from what I understand. But we're not too far off. I mean, basically we're the same country because we trade with them, and they're their neighboring country. It's one the same, I think. Plus we eat a lot of the same food. They eat McDonald's, they eat a lot of American food. They're very Americanized, North Americanized.
Well, can we say
So
that the south of the United States is embedded culturally with Mexico in a way before they so
it's a lot of trade, a lot of cross-cultural trade and cuisine and whatnot. But I think the biggest issue with Mexico is the Coca-Cola consumption is much higher than the United States.
I have heard that
Sure.
the Coca-Cola in the United States is actually composed with high fructose syrup, while the Coca-Cola in Mexico is composed with sugarcane. In fact, I understand that many people in the United States, when they go to restaurants in Texas or in cities that is close to Mexico, they specifically demand for Mexican Coca-Cola for its texture, and they say it doesn't taste like chemicals.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the situation, like I said, because you don't have high fructose corn syrup, which is a chemical that goes through a process to make it flavorful. The saccharin and the different types of nasty stuff they put in the caramel coloring, all of that, it's not good for you to consume daily. As you see, I got organic, without showing brands, organic orange juice I'm drinking. You know, high alkaline water. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that the reality is like I said, it's creating these soy boys, and like you said, you're seeing it. I'm not necessarily saying that you see it in Asia, but like I said, you look at the diet and it's definitely changing. They're not eating as much raw meat. They're eating more processed food. They're sitting at home playing video games, you know, indoor, like you mentioned in your introduction. But what's important about this is that, like, in what I noticed when I was in Korea is, like, I would just see these guys just eating ramen noodles. This is a very processed, very like seed oil, type of food, food staple, and they just eat it every day. Like it's just their nutrition. Drinking energy drinks, and they're called these yogi bonds, I guess, in Korea. They're like internet cafes, but they game all night. They're there till like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and they avoid study and all this stuff. This is not this is not good. I mean, if you want to be the peak of your performance, and I mean, you want to better your situation, there's nothing you can gain from that. I mean, you're not working out, and even that, you're not working out intellectually. You're not reading, you're not, like, studying,
You're stuck in a
broadening
loop
your.
of self-destruction.
Yeah, it's just what is it, self-indulgence. I mean, you're just
Exactly.
continually the cycle, and the women aren't interested in that. But I mean, the thing is you're noticing women getting into gaming. Why are women getting into gaming? Because that's what the men are doing. And the women are like, the women need attention and they want attention. That's their main motivators. They're driven for attention. So in order to get these guys attention, they get into gaming, even though they don't care for it. A lot of the stuff that we men are interested in, women could care less. They just do it because they know men are going to be there, like football, baseball, sports, um, even the university or even the workplace for that matter. The reason why they're there is because they know men are going to be there, and women are interested in getting attention from men. Predominantly the top 20% males, and they know that's where they'll be, so that's where they hang out. But now they've
The,
taken over those man spaces, those men's spaces. Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
one thing that worth noticing is that I lived in Japan for 1 year back in 1998, and something strange happened that I would like to point out, and I would like to opinion about this. I was 17 years old, and although I was much thinner and I had a lot of hair back then, my body already developed as an adult. I wasn't any more different. I already had beard. I already grew a full beard, and my muscle bone was, although thinner, was already developed. I already produced my sperm, and the size of my genitals were adult size. Strangely, when I went to
TMI,
Japan, I had to
TMI,
deal with
brother.
men my age, and these men still sported their pre-pubescent bodies. This is something that caught my attention. I mean, we're talking about 17-year-old men that they weren't fully developed yet. They didn't develop beard. They didn't develop facial hair or body hair in their bodies. Their genitals were not able to develop. Their bone structure was weak. And we're talking about these men, the Japanese men who actually were they lived in a first world country with all about all the mental and all the resources to develop themselves. And this came as a surprise to me. And the women too, of course. We're not talking about men, we're talking about human beings. And this is strange because now, taking us 20 years in the future, we see that the result, the consequences of these actions, of this, it's that Japan completely divorced its men from its women. And now we're seeing ghost towns in Japan and houses being sold for pennies on the dollar. You can buy, if you gather the qualities that the Japanese government wants from you, you can buy a house in Japan for cheap, because there are not being enough boys or enough human beings being born in Japan, and Japan is panicking because they are slowly aging away into oblivion. And this is something that I would like. And although Japan is an interesting concept, it's an interesting mirror from the future. I would like to know your opinion about how this can affect United States, not only in the economical sense, but also if we are seeing this divorce between men and women in the United States.
No, like I said, so like in Japan, like I said, it's interesting what's going on there. With the negative interest rates, and the society is starting to crumble. And not even in the 1980s, it was like, they were saying that, oh wow, this is going to be a very powerful economy, and it's on the trajectory to be the most powerful economy in the world. This is before China came around. But the reality is like I said, the problem, we saw this during the 2008 recession. Women were like divorcing men in Japan that lost everything. You know what I mean? It became a very materialistic society because of how developed it had become, how economically viable the economy is, and especially you said you were in Japan, like in Tokyo, right, downtown. So what did you
I was.
notice? Like what kind of stuff, what kind of things did you notice did you notice that materialism? Because I've never been in Japan. I was
Yes.
in Korea,
What I
and
noticed is
Korea
that
was very materialistic.
what I've noticed is that women were the actual hidden power in life. This is what I mean by this is that men, in their desire to pursue women, they would cater, they were simping for women, for women, and women took advantage of it. It happened. I was in high school. When high school had this layer of innocence. They were not fully developed. They were very timid and shy on one another, like in the caricatures you see on manga. It was like that, but in college, it was a very different story. Women already have full agency of their sexual conscious, and men, still not knowing how to deal with women, fell through their lies and their traps. Not only that, they couldn't grasp. I mean, they followed the narrative of women and saying, "We want a nice man who would be caring and caring and conscious and careful and respectful." Yes, but they went with Chad. There are 20, around the 15% of men in Japan who are very masculine, who are completely opposite from their professional counterparts, who are nothing short of the embodiment of the brute samurai that we used to watch in the 1950s movie with Mifune. They are men who embrace those bad boys. The Japanese bad boy is truly a bad boy. Like, he would put a biker to shame. We're talking about those men. Would the American biker from Hell's Angels? That Japanese man would put that biker to shame. But there are not many Japanese men like that. They are just they're very scarce. The great majority of men being pressured by the society to comply the standard of being honorable, they fall into this pit of despair because yes, they did everything they were asked to, and still didn't get their lot. However, these masculine men, the so-called buraku means reject. These Japanese, these rejected men from society, strangely, ironically, who actually entered the yakuza, entered one of their venues of existence was the mafia, were very sought after women for women because they embodied this ideal of go get them, of be a go getter, do whatever you have to do in order to accomplish your goals, and essentially that's what women want. So what happens? Many women, and this is something common. Many women get married to simps and soy boys, and they ended up having dealings with these masculine men, most of the times bearing her children. And of course, these honorable men are forced to accept their wives' misgivings because they would look bad into society and they would make their wives and their family looks bad. This is not an isolated event. This is very common. There's a whole industry behind it. And it's tearing the psyche of men apart. Because if you are a man who does his homework, who does what he's asked to do, and you know that your wife is going to despise you and is going to cheat on you with reject of society, would you take that deal if you're a smart man?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what we're starting to see, like I said, in society, I think not just in like Asia, but in general, is that the younger generation is lost because there is no guidance, there's no leadership from.
That's true.
From their community. There's no community leaders, and we're seeing, we saw that during the 90s and 80s with the African American communities. Yeah, the single parent households, no father in the household, absentee father, and we're seeing the result of that now. But more importantly, like I said, the thing is with Asia is, like I said, I was mentioning the ghost towns. I don't know if Unchained, can you Spanish Sato, can you put that up? Do you have that?
We would very much like to hear the opinion of Puni Husano.
You want me to comment on why and what's happening with the Japanese men?
Yeah,
what's your take? I mean, what's your take? Like I said, on like, if you're a Zoomer, so I mean, what do you see going on? Like I said, with the younger generation, as far as like women, is there a detachment? Is there no leadership?
I mean,
like from older men?
really what it is yeah, there's no leadership, but you're really not what's what's it's not really like leadership within community that's going to help them. It's exemplary leadership on an individual basis. Obviously the father's being out the home and being weak within the home doesn't really help.
Yeah,
It doesn't really
yeah.
matter if your dad's around if he's kind of like a weak bitch. To put it nicely, it's actually
No,
worse.
you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean,
that.
it's
The
horrible.
men, women don't serve men at their home, and men rather die at work than coming back to a bitchy nagging wife
Yeah.
that's been led to believe that she's doing the right thing by being bitchy and nagging.
Well, and no,
But it's not
Japanese
just
women,
well, the thing is, really,
it's not
is
just that.
it's yeah, it actually, as a matter of fact, the men they've just succumbed completely. They don't even avoid it. They just kind of sit there and
Yeah.
let their wife scream at them. I've seen it too many times.
It's shut down.
Yeah, the
It's shut down.
okay, honey. All right. It's
Yeah.
okay, Jimmy. Your mother's just like that. Oh, women are just
Emasculated.
yeah, they've completely submitted and just allowed themselves to be yelled at in front of people, emasculated. Um, it's a rough show. Boys have been tricked
Yeah.
into thinking that it's supposed to be that way. Oh, you know what
but
they
think
say?
about
What's
this.
the saying, Josh? Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy wife,
That is
happy
one of
life. Yeah,
the
exactly.
darkest fallacies. That's one of the biggest bold-faced lies they've sold to people. If you appease your wife, she will destroy you. You'll never make her happy. Appeasing her. If you appease her so she stops bothering you, she will destroy you. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say something, I just forgot because it's true what you say is like essentially. And this is the thing. It's like, but there's one aspect that we haven't discussed yet, and I would very much like to ask for your opinion. This is it. We are playing an impossible game because this is my question, and it's an honest question, although rhetorical. I very much like to uh, ask your opinion about this. What limit a man in a modern society can put to an unhinged woman without horrible consequences?
Well, you don't even need to put limits. Just go tell them the truth. I always
Yeah.
hear this nonsense, especially from conservatives, ironically, that oh well, a strong woman is the woman that obeys and submits to her husband. And the fallacy is, and I know why they do. It's the same reason why Republicans will look at like Joe Biden and try to convince people that, well, the Democrats are the real racists. That whole paradigm, when you play into that, into the liberal, when you start using the liberal words and the liberal talking points, you've lost because you're playing into their paradigm. Conservative men do the same thing. Their response to feminism and the empowerment of women is to say that the real empowered women are the conservative trad church women. Those are the worst. Those women are genuinely the worst type of women because they are able to validate their dissent with the Bible, right? Bible beaters. They'll go up and down the scriptures, and those women, I remember it was Nick Fuentes who said this. Conservative women are sleeper feminists. They'll say they're strong. They're not strong. There's no such thing as a strong woman. Nobody here has ever met one. Go talk to one of these strong women and go tell them the truth. You'll see how strong they are after when they break mentally and start screaming and yelling like a child. You've never met one. They don't exist. But there's this trick that conservatives have played on themselves and their listeners that oh the real strong women are the based trad cath conservative women. Those are the worst. You're better off with a somewhat left leaning woman than one of these conservative women. They're the most disobedient, most dissident, and they trick you with all the buzzwords. And so you really do need to be careful um, with the with playing into that. Now, that's one of the biggest things that people need to let go of.
You know what the funniest thing though, what I'm tired of seeing like at the churches in my area is seeing these short-haired Christian Karen
Yep,
type women,
with the
and they're
jeans.
like basically Yep, and their closeted
Overweight, slightly
homosexual
overweight.
Hold on one second, Mario. They're closeted homosexual like husbands
Yep.
that go to church with them, like, and they're like basically leading them into the church and stuff.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, I'm just tired of seeing that.
Yes, honey. Oh, yes, honey. We'll get this after church. Yeah. If a guy says yes, honey, to his wife, she's having sex with other guys. That it's a 1-to-1
100%.
equation. It's
I mean,
weakness.
I'm sometimes wondering, like literally, are some of these conservative guys, are they allowing their wives to have sex with other men? Like, do
Yeah,
they? I'm
it's
sure they
not
got to know.
uncommon. Or they
What choice do they have?
Yeah.
no,
I'm sorry?
You think
they
about it.
like it. Because a lot of
You
these
think?
conservative guys are very, they like it. They're feminized, so their entire frame of mind is like that of a woman. So it's degenerate, it's sexual. Yeah, a lot of they're
They
into it.
see it as empowering.
No, they get
They,
some
they
weird.
rationalize it.
No, they enjoy evil. This is as simple as it is. They enjoy their own destruction. A lot of men
Yeah.
genuinely enjoy their own destruction. They get a thrill out of
Suicide.
it. It's a sick thrill, but it's a
It's
thrill
like,
nonetheless.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like suicide by inches. You self-delete your soul,
Yep.
and then there's nothing left, and then death comes as a welcoming prize.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's so somebody say something. I need
I
to process.
the case
Yeah.
the case that is recent. I forgot the guy's name. He's a famous NBA star. He recently. I I don't even know how this happens. Apparently,
Scottie Pippen.
no, it's not Scottie Pippen. It's
Scottie Pippen.
Okay, his
it's-
wife's ugly as his ex-wife's ugly as hell. She's ugly as sin.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna look it up, but I'll keep
And
telling the story.
she divorced raped that motherfucker, dude, and she's ugly as sin, dude.
You know
Yeah.
what happened with Scottie Pippen last week?
What?
Yeah. Tell me what's up.
Scottie Pippen, in his divorce hearing, his ex-wife was awarded half of his retirement plan. He's half him. I mean, although he's rich, he's still half as rich as he was before marrying his wife, because she took half his retirement. I don't know how long they were married, but was she entitled of his retirement, half his retirement plan?
Yeah, I mean, she held his jockstrap while he went out on on his games and stuff. You know what I mean? She kept his balls at the house while he was playing NBA games.
Half his retirement plan?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is that, like, dude, you need to control your woman, man. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is you shouldn't be getting divorced if you're that successful of a man, because that means you either want it to happen or you just care. Either way, your wife's cucking you, man.
Oh,
But there's the thing.
to update on the story, the player is
please,
Joe
please.
Smith. It came out like 2 weeks ago that he didn't know his wife was somehow. Then this is what we were talking about, Mario. Somehow his wife was doing OnlyFans behind his back, and he was the last guy to find out. How likely is that he had no idea that his wife was taking videos of her cooch and uploading it to OnlyFans for money? It's just
Okay.
and she
That
filmed
is
his reaction.
sick.
Well, yeah, you
But,
can.
okay, let's analyze this for a
What she's
second.
doing
Do you
is sick, but there's just no way he didn't know. He knew, and as a matter of fact, she told him in the video, because when he supposedly found out, he had, he was in dismay, and his wife filmed it, and he said, "I was a hoe when you met me. You knew what I was when you married me," and she's 100% correct. He married. What I understand is she was basically a sex. Let's use the fun
harlot.
word. Yeah. She was a harlot. He married her. She's
In
older
the
than him, by the
biblical
way.
sense,
I believe she's 6 years older than him too.
The archetype of Delilah, Samson's tale.
Mm-hmm.
Delilah,
Yeah.
a harlot, a
Yeah.
woman willing to use their sexual charms to prey a man and make him do her will.
A better example would
That
be
is the definition of
Jezebel. Also from the Old Testament.
the archetype of a harlot. That
Yeah.
would be her. And well, that Joe Smith, he had it coming.
He did.
I mean, he had it coming.
He did. Keisha Chavis is his wife, and Yeah, I mean, she's older than him. I believe she's like 4 to 6 years older than him. You know, she was apparently some
Okay.
type of harlot before they got married, and she was able, so according to them, she was able to keep an OnlyFans behind his back. Whether that's true, I find that to be unlikely. I mean, that's just one of those things that's really hard. I mean, she's publicizing it. There's no way that didn't
So
get back to
somebody,
him.
do you think analyzing that? Let's imagine. Let's play a little detective. Just, okay, let's just imagine that he didn't know, and some friend told him, "Hey, dude, your wife's on OnlyFans. What are you talking about? Yeah, take a look at this. Oh my God, that's one. That's one variable. The other variable is like, honey, I am doing OnlyFans. Fine by me, and that's it. What do you think happened?
Well, I just think he knew. He may not have told her that he knew, but he knew deep down. He probably knew that this was going on, and he's so weak because he shouldn't be. You should never marry an older woman. Um,
Okay.
he had fear in confronting her, and when he finally, probably what probably happened was they were eating breakfast, and he like brought it up subtly and passively, and
Casually.
she just was front about it, and he broke. He was hoping she would say no, and she said yep. I mean, if you go watch the video, you guys can find it on YouTube of her filming him.
I'll watch it.
She's completely unapologetic. She doesn't care. Oh, we needed the money. Oh, well, I needed to do something to make money. You knew I
To an
was a hoe
NBA
when you married
star?
me. Yeah, this is a guy who made $61 million in his career. He played for the Lakers and the Nets and several other teams.
And then she said she needed the money?
Yep, she needed to make money somehow. Apparently, he's been having some type of financial issue. I mean, a lot of athletes do, who that they don't know how to spend their money.
All right.
But really, what sold it to me was when she said, I was a hoe when you married me. You knew it." And she's like I said, she's right. I mean, he knew what she was marrying. He's only he's only ashamed that it's out. That's his only actual issue. He actually probably didn't
Yeah,
mind
so
until it became undeniable.
an
Until
issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's how most
Yeah.
people
I
are.
mean, that's how it is. I mean, dude, I went to Christian college, like I said, and like I said, I wrestled and played football at college, and I played my pro football, and like I said, these guys can't manage their finances, man. I was just laughing like how they're always broke. Like, dude, you're getting paid this money. Like, how are you always broke? Like, asking for money, it's like, dude, I don't piss money away. Like, why you gotta ask me for money if you're, you know what I mean? It's, I don't know. I
Yeah.
give up.
So, this question for both of you, but I think Punish Gusano can give me a more exact definition. What definition does he fit? Is he a simp, a John, a white knight, a quick huffer? What do you think the moniker would fit him as his character?
He's a woman.
Oh,
He's a woman.
I mean,
That's-
that's the best way you can describe the modern man in the West is that we're dealing with a bunch of catty women.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I can't explain the other way. Like when I'm dealing with people, like I go to the store to go. I went to the store to the tool store, basically Harbor Freight. I don't know, like it's an American brand.
I get you. The Home Depot.
Yeah, kind of like that, but they just sell tools. That's it. And
All right.
I'm like going,
Hardware
it's
store, ferreteria in
yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah, so like it's like Christmas Monday or whatever. Like I had like a $20 gift certificate. I'm just gonna go buy some tools, whatever.
Yeah.
And this old boomer guy, like just whatever, man, just like goes right to the I'm like sitting there like, dude, hey dude, I'm like in line next to you. It's kind of rude, man. But it's like, just imagine like that's like men don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, men are like they're like, hey, are you in line? Like,
Take your turn, endure the pain.
yeah, they're communicated. That's what women do. Women do shit like that. They'll just go and they'll butt you in line, and it's like, oh, okay, well, it's a woman. But some guy, I mean, like, dude, this is what the West is full of now. It's just full of these like basically you have masculine women, and then you have feminine males. It's the ratio of the ratio of female to male ratio in America is like 5-1 now, 4-1. That's why you have Biden in office. That's why you have Obama in office. That's why you have all these different guys in office, because the women vote them because they want to fuck them, and then the men vote them because they want to fuck them too. So I mean, it is what it is. It's just a country full of fucking pussies.
You know what I've noticed? And this would be me, but I've noticed a proliferation of homosexual men all around. When I was a child, like when I was 10, 15 years old, that is 25 years ago, you didn't see as many gay people around. I mean, or at least you didn't see as many flamboyant gay people around. I mean, I couldn't tell if a man was homosexual or not because he didn't advertise it. But now it's like you see one different every day, and I live in a rather small society. I mean, the town I live, it's around, I don't know, 100,000 inhabitants, and I move in an area of, let's just say, 10 blocks by 10 blocks, which would, I don't know, 20,000 people, and I see a gay guy every day, a different gay guy every day, and it's like, but I'm not saying a homosexual. I'm saying the typical fairy, the typical social butterfly, the flamboyantly sort of cartoonish man who speaks with a tone, and at one point he makes a caricature of himself. I've seen that now that you mention it. I'm seeing it more often. Do you agree? I mean, does it happen to you too?
I mean, it's prevalent now, dude. It's very prevalent all over the world. It's because,
like
I said,
social benefit to be gay in the West.
Yeah,
it's social.
It's a social benefit to be gay in the West. They'll give you money. There's a city in California
endorsements
that will
jobs,
literally give you I think it's
promotions.
$150 a month if you're gay.
Okay, that's an incentive.
Yeah.
Well, and this brings to my memory. This brings something that I wasn't thinking about bringing, but the whole conversation brought into this. Have you ever heard about the Trans-Maxing Manifesto? No?
Never heard
Oh my God.
Trans-maxing? I've heard of that, actually. I know what that is.
There's a manifesto of
I
71
don't listen to
pages.
gay stuff.
But I mean, it's horrifying. It's like, oh my God, and people pay serious attention to it. The Trans-Maxing Manifesto, it's actually a manifesto of 71 pages giving details and points on how it is convenient for men to become women.
Yeah,
because they say that I'm sorry?
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's when you can't get the girlfriend, become the girlfriend.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
You can.
Yeah.
And of course, it talks about the benefits. It talks about how the policies are gearing towards it. Because from an incel to a Stacy, it says the incel version to the Stacy, because the opposite from Chad is Stacy, who says, man, all the benefits of being a woman. You can even be a girlfriend with a woman, and you'll be in the good side of history. But if you're an incel, nobody will remember you. Nobody cares about you.
True.
This is the thing. I mean, you know that the most horrifying things, like all horrifying things, is that it makes sense. In a sick, twisted way, it makes serious sense. Of course, you can choose not to become an incel or go incel the way, but there's only a way to become a Stacy. The thing is, did you know, for the people listening to us, do you know the statistic that transsexual people tend to commit self-deletion way more often?
6 times as
way
likely.
More.
It's a mental illness. Yeah, it's a mental disorder.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit what they say. It's a mental disorder.
Well, no,
you have personality. You have a personality disorder. It's a personality dissociation disorder.
Yep.
That's a result that you think that you are another gender, and it's like, or another sex, and it's like, dude, like men have certain personality types, women have certain personality types. So if you're thinking that if you have multiple personalities, it's a disorder. It's a mental illness. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
So is homosexuality. As a matter of fact, are you guys familiar with the DSM?
No, if you please.
The DSM stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. In essence, it is basically the Torah of psychiatric medicine. It's released
The final word.
every 5 to 10 years, sometimes longer. Um, and it's basically the main go-to textbook for the current consensus on mental disorders. The DSM-3, we're currently on DSM-5, but I believe what the DSM-3, that handbook was released in 1980. It was started in 1974, but it was introduced in 1980. In that, up until that point, homosexuality was considered by medical professionals to be a mental illness. It was removed in the DSM-3. You can find copies of this online. There's PDFs, of course. And the DSM-3, it was removed, and it was removed with an asterisk saying that there's actually no medical reason for its removal, and they have no current evidence that would actually support its removal, but they removed it anyways. Curiously, this was right after the induction of the LGBT movement in 1974, with a lot of the that's when a lot of the pro-gay protests started. Shortly after the civil rights movement kind of got its way, and ever since then, that that modification has never been rectified or updated. So something that they considered for several decades to be a mental illness was declassified as such, and there was never given an explanation by any of the health professionals on why this was. And it's no coincidence that, like I said, it happened half a decade after the pro gay movement came in full swing. And it really is. I mean, it's undeniable that it was politically motivated. And what a coincidence that there's already discussions of removing things like child attraction. I'll say that for the sake of the stream. Child attraction and
Sure.
and gender
Map.
dysphoria from MAP, gender dysphoria from
Everything.
DSM-5. There's been serious conversation about removing that, and also animal love as a removal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think, Punish Gusano and Josh, of course, do you think that this map condition and the love for non-human beings will be removed in anytime soon, or there is an effort into doing that?
It's already the legalization is already being pushed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
like I
so it's
said,
not going to be okay.
like I was talking, like we were talking about in pre-production, like before we went live, like about it's like beast. It's like beast. I mean, it's like these are sinful acts. Not only sinful, but they're it's just bad for your body and your soul and your mental health, and it's just the monster wants to keep pushing, what I mean? So you're feeding the hunger of the demon or the like the animal. And as the animal gets a taste for it, it's wants more and more and more. Because you know how animals are, like a shark or like a wolf, or
Yeah,
like
I feel
a ferocious type animal, and once it gets a taste for the blood, it just wants more and more. It just wants to feast and consume. It consumes until it's full, and then it gets,
I
and then it goes on the prowl. It's that's what I see it as.
if I feel compelled to tell our dear audience that this is evidence that there is a war for our soul, for our love of life, for our love of things that are beautiful and correct. As a man who was raised under the banners of stoicism and beauty and eternal natural beauty, when I see this, I cannot think anything other that they want to distort my perception of reality so bad in order to hate myself. And it's our and it is our public service. I'm sure I would like to hear Josh and Poli Susano to tell you not to give in, to tell you to, because there's one good aspect that the bar is so low that success is not easy, but I would rather venture to say inevitable for those who follow the path of righteousness. However, these assaults are constant and relentless and ever increasing. it is paramount that you never give in to what you think your conscience tells you it's the right thing. There is right and wrong in the souls of every man, and your soul, dear listener, is telling you something. Listen to it, because if you decide to shut it down, you will go into a road of self-destruction that it will end up in the worst possible outcomes, and you can see it everywhere. For this is something I see. I never seen one of those people happy, content. I have seen some, but they have an already established circle of existence. For example, I know there are some homosexual people who are happy having a homosexual couple and living in an equilibrium of life. There is that people, but they are not. But these are the exception, not the rule. When you see those flamboyant human beings that cruise the night, waiting to have empty and wantonous sex with unknown people, it is not but a performance, proving themselves that they belong. But the truth is, it's a lie they tell to themselves. For that, dear reader, dear listener, I extort you as a friend, as you, in a way, never to give in. Practice your strength.
I
Follow
would
your own
actually
path.
push back a little bit, Mario. This whole
By all
concept,
means.
this whole concept of homosexual marriage, in and itself, that word should even be applied to that relationship. Frankly, I mean, regardless of what anybody may think, I'll challenge anybody on the planet to this conversation. The homosexuals do not get married, though, and this includes lesbians too. Homosexuals, their frame of relationship is nothing like a standard heterosexual couple. This is barred out in several studies that have been done. For example, homosexuals, they've done studies on how many sexual partners they'll have. It's actually completely common for homosexuals to have hundreds, if not thousands, of sexual partners in their lifetimes. Think about that. Start counting with your fingers how to 1,000 and let me know when you get done. It's a ridiculous amount of people. Obviously, they suffer from serious STDs and other forms of like terminal cancers, things like prostate cancer, rectal cancer. Some of them, their organs fall out. It's nasty, nasty stuff. And even within these marriages, they're not loyal. People. Of course, there's infidelity within heterosexual couples. But I remember there's a study that was done of I think it was like 200 homosexual couples, and they admitted that they cheat on their partner 7 to 8 times a year. So what's the point of the union? You can't have kids
Right.
outside of adoption, and that brings a whole other issue with several anecdotal cases of these kids being mistreated by these couples. I remember last year in Georgia, there was a homosexual in the state of Georgia, not the country, of course. In the state of Georgia, I forgot the city, but there was a homosexual couple who had adopted a couple of children and was using them to film child pornography and sell it online and in back backdoor alleys. So that whole system is a mess.
This is proven. This is not an allegation. This
Yeah,
is actual
this is not they were convicted.
evidential.
They were convicted. There's tons of it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, yeah, no, they were convicted.
Well, this is not the case.
Yeah, yeah,
This
no,
is the norm.
there's tons of anecdotal evidence, and there's a lot of statistical evidence into this. A study done in the 90s found that 98% of pedophiles that were interviewed were bisexual. 98, there was over 213 pedophiles, convicted pedophiles that were interviewed. 98% of them were bisexual. It's not Lantern Project UK, which helps children of that excuse me, that helps children who are victims of molestation in the United Kingdom. Found that 33% of of child molestation is done by homosexual men. That's less than 2% of the population, yet they commit 33% of it. And people can challenge these, and these are considered homophobic statements, but this is backed up by studies and by anecdotal evidence.
This is fact.
This is a matter of fact. These unions are not at all similar to normal people's unions. You can use all the buzzwords, you can give them all the rights. When it comes down to it, we've given homosexuals virtually every right heterosexuals have been given, and it just doesn't bear out. They don't behave in the way marriage and couples should. Not at all. They can't have children. They mistreat the children in very perverted ways. The way they treat each other is very perverse, very sexualized. It's all a thrill. It's nothing more than a perverse mental illness and a thrill. And I would challenge anybody to come and show me otherwise.
Okay.
But I mean, think about this.
Go ahead, John.
One second. I'm just saying, like, think about this in the context of a heterosexual relationship, and think about women, and marriage between women in the West, where obviously this legalization has occurred. How would women view? Because women are more feminine, right? And you notice, like, women will hang out with they have social circles where there may be homosexual men or even lesbian women. How are they viewing this if they're seeing their friends, their social circles, and homosexual or lesbian, and they are having infidelities outside their marriage? Wouldn't that influence them as well?
Punished, if you were, if you please.
Can you repeat that, Josh?
Well, I'm just saying, like, how, like, modern women are more modernized, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
They're more tolerant. So they have a lot, they have obviously their gay friends
Mm-hmm.
and lesbian friends, and they're seeing this high rate of infidelity amongst their gay friends that are married and lesbian friends that are married. And they see the infidelity, the rate of infidelity, and you are a product of the friends that you hang out with or the people you associate with, right? So if they're doing it, how would they view marriage and infidelity in their mind as a heterosexual? Heterosexual marriage, especially when you see in the church. Because I talked to a lot of these church pastors, and they're like, "Yeah, it's okay to have transgenders in the church." I'm like, "So you're telling me that it's okay to have a transgender in the church that could preach to a congregation of heterosexual people? Let's say they're all heterosexual. I think most of them probably aren't, but that are heterosexual, and they're going to teach them about values and life choices and leadership, but yet most of them, statistically, as you said, don't live that life. That, like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That pure doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of it is to get the same benefits in terms of legal status, like tax, right? And a lot of it is also as almost a spit in the face of the institutions meant to serve the vast majority of the public. They literally just want to invade this. It's so funny. I remember a common quip that homosexuals and their advocates will say is, well, why do you care so much about what people do in the privacy of their own bedroom? But if you go look at the way these people exemplify themselves, it's always in your face. The parades, the propagandas. I want to ask you guys, if you guys could answer this. What is a common thing that is a physical representation that is popped up when one country conquers another? What is the first thing they raise?
Their flag.
Their flag. Why is it that at several state capitals in the United States there will be more LGBTQ flags than American flags?
Yeah, I saw one at a Protestant church.
Yep. Why are LGBT flags raised in Islamic countries when we go over and topple them? Iraq, Afghanistan. Why are those flags raised?
Gaza.
Yep, Gaza. Why are those flags raised? If it's really just for what people do besides their bedroom, why do they show symbol? Why do they paint our crosswalks, their colors? Small questions like that really need to be asked.
It's a declaration of principles in a
Yep.
way. That's what you mean. Yeah, I agree. I see it now. I find it appalling. I find it hard to believe, but yes, I see the logic of it. This reminds me of. You remember that there's this very famous skit, a comedy skit by Kay and Peele,
Mm-hmm.
where there's one of them too is one of these flamboyant homosexuals that is working on an office, and then this man tells him, "Could you please tone it down?" And then he begins a rant of tolerance and everything. Then at the end of the skit, the man is being greeted by another man who kisses himself, revealing that he's a homosexual himself, and then they leave, and this flamboyant gay says, "Oh, it's not that I'm gay, I'm an asshole." Do you know that skit, that comedy skit?
I'm not familiar with it. No.
Not with it,
I
but it's
will
funny as hell.
I will put it down for you to watch because it's really fun, because it's really telling, it's really good. Comedy works really well here. It's 11 o'clock. How about we're gonna take a 5 to 10 minute break so we can just catch our breath and have some water, and we'll be right back with you.
Can I make one last statement? I
By all means.
re-looked at that study I mentioned of the convicted pedophiles that were interviewed.
Yes.
This is according to the Archives of Sexual Behavior. 229 child molesters were interviewed. 86, it was in 98, 86% of offenders against males described themselves as homosexual or bisexual. Described themselves. They weren't asked, they said they were this way.
Right. It would be after the break. I would really like to ask. I mean, to ask about some spiritual matters, but this is going to be after the break. Stay with us. We're gonna have some tea, coffee, wet our throats, and with water, with and we'll be right back with you. Just stay tuned.
I'm back.
We are back. Guys, Mario will be back in just a second. Josh, would you like to carry it off? We also have maybe a guest here, Anthony, if you want to say hi.
Yeah.
What's
yeah.
up, fellas?
Yeah.
But go for it. Go for it, Professor Red Pill.
All right.
Yeah, so we were talking about, like, we started the podcast, and sorry it took a while, but it's okay. Most people are coming in 30 minutes into the podcast anyway, because you get notifications and all that jazz. So the reality is, like, we were talking about Japan, about these ghost towns. And basically, these ghost towns are a result because of depopulation in Japan. And there's a lot of factors involved, and like, we discussed some of them, economic, social, cultural, and the simple fact that the Japanese women want to fuck their men, because the men aren't viable economically. That's what it comes down to. And we're starting to see that in Europe and the West, that simply women don't want to fuck their men because they don't make $1 million a year. And it's like, well, I mean, not every man's going to make $1 million, and that's not the value of what a man provides. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got everybody up to date, including Anthony. So let's go ahead and move forward.
All right. Ready. May 15. May 15.
We're already there. So, Anthony, what would you like? Anything? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not big on talking about gays.
How about this?
We're not talking about gays. We're talking about the fact that that there's a generational change or cultural change in the world as a result of the demasculation of baby boomers, these older fucks that are now dying in rows because they lived a shitty life full of drugs and alcohol and fornication and all kinds of wonderful shit, right? Seed oils, and destroyed the environment, and they're killing everybody in fucking consistent wars that prolonged for many, many years. And the reality is that they've created a society full of, what is this? What is the word? Basically
entitled.
Not so much entitled, but just like hedonistic society is the best way to put it. If you explain what hedonistic is, Mario, what's hedonistic mean, Mario? Explain.
be mainly focused on exploitation of his own desires in the immediate.
His or her, because it's all fucking people nowadays. It's not just men; it's women, predominantly
It's
women
exactly
at this point.
the pursuit of pleasure of the fleeting pleasures.
Yeah, like the beach, like the
I
movie.
think well, if you guys want me to add, yeah, I get
Yeah.
what you guys are talking about. I understand. Thanks, Josh. That's a good lead up. Yeah, I think the problem is that it's about what society promotes, and you know, they talk about toxic masculinity, right? So what is toxic masculinity? It's a guy who is sure of himself, he's confident, and he doesn't accept bullshit, right? So that's somebody who's
You mean
toxic.
you mean a Sigma?
He's a
You mean a guy like
yeah.
a normal fucking guy that like provides for
Yeah,
his
so
family? Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So that's the worst person in the world right now.
In many cases, for example, I see this
Well, hold on
black.
one second, Mario. Unless there's a fucking war, and then they need those guys. But I'll just add that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Mario. Continue.
No, you're right. The thing is that I find it appalling these black low IQ women who get angry at men for not making money, a black man, and these men leave on the passport bros because they say, and the thing is, and these women who try to shame men into coming back, but the only way to win the game is not play. So the thing is, I want to tell, if you happen to be a black man listening to our posts, you're not alone. And we do not have any animosity towards you. You're doing what is right for you, and we applaud you. Because at one point, I mean, women are insufferable. Women have become insufferable.
Modern
You don't have to deal
women.
with
Modern women.
modern women. And there are low IQ black women, there are low IQ white women, there are low IQ Latinas, they are low IQ. Get rid of those women. Get away from them. They're gonna bring you down. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, for the
Well,
most
like we
part, like I
said
said.
before, you gotta
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Mhm.
Go ahead.
You
Go,
just
go,
gotta
dude.
stay you gotta stay true to yourself and try to stay calm and collected and cool. Don't let women get you off your game because that's they test you all the time.
Okay.
If they see that you
Before we start,
react, is it hear me?
yeah, no, please go ahead, finish because go ahead.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you guys could hear me, but so basically you gotta stay true to yourself.
Yeah,
Don't let
that's
them
it.
get you off. Because when they see that you will get emotional, they see it as a weakness, and
Yeah.
that's when they attack. Yeah, that's what it is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's okay. Let's recap. I'm going to start with the lack of tumos in many men and how our audience is encouraged to act on tumos, and then I'm going to ask Josh about what he thinks on the state of our young men and why it happens is like they don't want to. And you can say that well, they don't. The women don't want to fuck them because they are weak, and then you can elaborate on that. That's what I'll do. Just as soon as Unchained comes back.
No, just go ahead, man. It's fine. Don't worry. He's there.
Because he needs to turn on the stream.
Oh, I got you.
We are on pause. We are on the break.
We're streaming, dude. We're
Streaming.
Where do we go?
Oh, we're live?
Yeah.
Disregard everything we say, dear audience. Please do not take us seriously. This is completely off pick. Okay. As I was saying.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
Oh, you. Okay.
No, go ahead, Mario.
Are
Go
we
ahead.
live?
What's going on? I'm
We're
just
not.
fucking with man. I'm fucking. We are live, man. We are fucking live. Go, dude.
You piece of shit.
Fuck it, let's do it live. Fuck it.
Yeah, so I mean, basically the situation is yeah, I mean, the thing is like, what do you always say, Mario? You say like, you know, there's a saying, and I'm not shit with it. You know it better than I do. Was it strong men or weak men make hard times? And what's the saying? You know,
strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times, and hard times make strong men. These are hard times coming. Like good, dear fine people who listen to this stream. And if you're listening to this and you're paying attention and you stay with us for long, you realize what is going on, and we cherish you. You take us seriously, and we want to be taken seriously. Um, the good thing is that if you embrace, there's this word in Greek. It's called thumos. Thumos, Thumos. You're welcome to look for it. Is a word that resembles a spirit that surrounds your aura, the place where your flesh, your blood, and the air you breathe meet and form. This is where spirit and flesh comes together. In a way, it's also a desire of recognition, to recognize, to be seen, and to be cherished and to be respected. When you indulge in hedonistic pursuits, that is looking for fleeting pleasures, reaching that ecstasy of orgasm, the ecstasy of abuse, you deplete and diminish your tumors. Do not always strive to increase your tumors. And I would like to ask Josh, what's his opinion? What's his opinion on the state of this of the young men of our young generation, on just this weakness, this general weakness that we see. Josh, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of giving a fuck. I mean, that's the reality. It's like, I mean, I understand, like, you get in social circles and, people, that crab and bucket mentality where crabs, you throw a crab in a bucket, they'll reach and grab each other down so they can escape. If you ever been crabbing, or, just Google it. That's the mentality, this modern mentality of this malaise. It's just people, it's a fucking crab in a bucket, and people are just bringing each other down. And it's like, you can't, if you want to be the top 20% men and get women, and it's not just like, it's not even about getting pussy, it's just get attention of women, to where it's like, I don't think I want to talk to you today, I'm going to talk to her. No, I'll talk to her. And then you find someone who you really connect with. I mean, it's not so much, connection in the sense of, oh, we're going to grow together, because it's bullshit. You lead. She's looking for a leader. That's what women are looking for. They're looking for a man to lead them. So, I mean, you want to be in a situation where you're separating yourself from the herd. And to separate yourself from the herd, you need to be consistent. You need to be transparent. And most of all, you have to be good at communication. You have to be very communicative. And I mean communicative in the sense where reading, bettering yourself. I mean, like, learn something new every day. Do something that fucking, like, that's a challenge, and just challenge yourself. And once you meet that challenge, then you go to the next challenge. You set goals and so on and so forth. But you do it on a consistent basis. Women will notice that, and women will pick up on it. And like I said, as a man, you could go to the gym all day. You can wear nice watches or handcuffs or clothes or whatever, and it still doesn't mean shit, because, like, underneath that is still an empty, vessel.
Husk.
Yeah, you got to fill that vessel. You have to fill that boat, or at least, the spacecraft, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Just a vessel. It's a transportation from A to B. You want to fill that with as much stuff as you can on your journey. And the more shit and resources you have, and it's not so much resources in a monetary situation, or at least like money or anything like that. It's just being a well-rounded person. Women are going to want that type of guy. And it's not just women. Employers are going to want that kind of person. Other people are going to be around that type of person, and that's the thing. You have these positive attributes, and basically, like, core values, and people want to be around you. What I mean? They want a piece of you. They want a piece of that, that shit that you've packed in your vessel. So that's all I'm going to say. I hope I didn't fucking complicate how I said it.
I like to chip in on that, because there's also going to be envious, miserable people who will want to destroy you by infiltrating you, because misery loves company. And one thing that I noticed is that you need to shut up about your plans. Why? Because this is the thing. Here in Argentina, until very recently, people when they communicated as, "Hey, how are you? I'm like shit. Hey, I am like shit too. Let's be like shit together." And they share that situation of shitness. But when you say, "Hi, how are you? I'm great. I'm having this problem. Oh, I'm solving this problem. I'm having this project," and they say, "Oh, then you're not wrong. Then can you give me something? Because see, you're so abundant and so affluent, you can give something." Hey, poor little me. And they say they think that they have the right to abuse you because you're prospering and I'm not. I deserve better. So think about how many people are, I mean, they use their miserable existence as an excuse to hurt others who want to go. This is the concept of the crap bucket. Never allow your happiness, because this is the thing. Your happiness can be confused with arrogance. Most of the times it is arrogant. I understand as well that arrogance can be a sweet nectar when you're doing good and you show in their face your happiness to misery that you consider your inferiors, and you miss it. It's gonna blow back. It's gonna bite you in the ass in the long run. That's why you need to be extra careful with whom you share your plans, your endeavors, your sensations with. It is a lonely road. That's why we're here. You can tell it to us, but don't tell it to your neighbors. Don't tell it to your friends. Don't tell it to your workers. And not even the less, don't tell it to your boss, because your boss feasts on your misery. Because if he underpays you and you go down and you feel miserable and hopeless, you will not do anything better for yourself in order to compete and have him pay you more or go somewhere else. You will accept your miserable fate and he'll keep abusing you because he can. So don't share your plans, your endeavors, your success, your positive things that you want to share. Do not share with them. Share with us. This is what we're here for. So,
Yeah.
having said that, what do you think? Do you have a new a recurring guest was just arrived recently? Anthony, could you please say hello?
Hey, how's it going, peeps? How's everything?
We were just talking about the difficulty of men to excel, but also the great possibility, because the bar is so low that it's very easy to actually become a 20% man.
I think it's
Yeah,
easy as
it's
shit,
just
to be honest.
yeah, basically you cannot follow the trends. I said it before, I'll say it again. A lot of people
Remember,
are
the
sheep.
public renews.
Sorry?
And the public renews, so it's okay to say it again because we have all with new audience coming in.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Sorry, I thought, yeah, I didn't hear you. Okay. Yeah, so basically, a lot of people, most of the people are sheep. They just follow trends. They just do what's popular. They want to be in. Uh, they don't really know anything. They don't know the laws. They think they know stuff. They don't know anything. Uh, a lot of people are like very centered. How do I say this? Not in a good way, right?
Narcissistic,
They,
egotistical.
yeah. You know, I was watching this. I like to watch First Amendment audits. One of the videos I like to watch. Recently, I watched an episode. Uh, the guy went. So this guy called Am Against the Press. He does like First Amendment audits with his son, and they went to Beverly Hills in California, and it was exactly how you expected. People were absolute shit. They were so shitty to them. They were so abusive to them. They were so entitled. World around revolves around them. They wouldn't let them record from a public sidewalk into freaking Beverly Hills stores where all the tourists are. They said you guys can record, and he handled everything so well because he knows what he's doing. He knows his rights. He knows the laws. Because when the cops come, he just says, "Hey, how you doing, guys?" And the cops know. They said, "Yeah, you're good, don't worry." But they blow up. They make a scene. They try to start a fight. You know, people are fucking crazy. Most of the people
They
are
say
fucking
that
crazy. That's
they say we live in a wonderful world. We live in a wonderful world surrounded by people who are waiting the chance to get angry at anything.
well, that's the thing. We're supposed to live in a free country, and public photography triggers you. Freaking public photography, really? On Beverly Hills, on the main road where all the stores are, like fucking what do you call them? Zara's and all those fancy stores, where all the jewelry, all the clothing stores, every all the tourists are there, and they get triggered by cameras. So
What
that's
do you
just
think
like
that
an
is?
example. Uh,
Why do you think that is?
because a lot of people don't know, they misunderstand what their rights are. So a lot of times they would say, "Well, I didn't give you my right my okay to make videos of me." Well, you're in public. Hello. You're in public. There is no expectation of privacy in public. But there's a common misconception that if you're in public, people can take picture videos of you. And that is totally wrong.
No, I
That is
understand
totally wrong.
that legally speaking, they have to ask you for a permit. If you're filming me and
No.
then
No, that's not
you
true.
pan through
Not
me,
in America.
Not
Not
in
in America.
America. It's one party
No.
Okay.
consent.
okay, Punish Gusano, if
In
you
some
please.
countries, I know like Saudi Arabia, it's an issue. But in America, we're supposed to have the First Amendment. And it protects our right to
Especially in
take
public places.
photographs in public. Yeah.
If you're walking down the
And a
street,
lot
I
of
make
people
go
don't
ahead.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know the laws or the Constitution. And this is a big fucking problem
Well,
in
part
our
of it is
society.
also because those laws are adhered to conveniently. You have a lot of unconstitutional procedures done recently. I don't know if you guys we all talked about this privately. Derek Chauvin was stabbed to well, not stabbed. I was gonna say stabbed. He was stabbed in prison, and that was honestly
Yeah.
a matter of time. I mean, let's all just keep it real. We knew that guy was gonna get messed up in prison, and Derek Chauvin, there's no other word for what happened to that guy. He did the procedure exactly like he was supposed to. He followed the guidelines. He did not kill George Floyd. George Floyd died from a fentanyl overdose. He was sent as a sacrifice to the mob. And I'm not talking about the mafia. I'm talking about the BLM liberal
the
mob.
rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
angry mob.
He was
Yeah, he's a political prisoner.
Yeah, he's a political prisoner, and
He's a political prisoner.
He wasn't thrown under
Yeah.
the bus. He was placed, smeared with honey, and the bus had bears on it. That's what happened to Derek Chauvin.
He was not only thrown under the bus, he was thrown under the fucking courthouse, underneath the Capitol,
Yep.
underneath the fucking country. Yeah.
Him and his
And
family
buried.
have been
10 feet
unable to live in peace for the last 2 years. People keep finding out where they live and harassing them. And the father of the family is in jail, getting stabbed and harassed in prison. And there's nothing they can do.
But
There's no
aren't-
security that you can put on that guy where he's not going to get messed up.
Wait, I'm sorry, Anshay,
Yeah.
but aren't cops usually placed in separate, like a separate area from other prisoners?
But his
'Cause of
was
this
such, yeah, he is.
That they get it.
But it's such a high profile. I mean, it's probably one of the most high profile cases of this decade. The Derek Chauvin
It's
case.
OJ.
Yeah, it's OJ all over
it's
again,
OJ.
but he actually went to prison.
Yeah.
And think about this: everything is run on money. Everything is run on money in prisons. So who is not going to get? I mean, do you think a a warden or a prison officer isn't going to take some extra coins to slip something somewhere or be distracted for 2 minutes to allow something to accidentally happen?
Well, look at Epstein. Epstein's guards fell asleep, or whatever. They looked away, and the cameras weren't working. They
And the
stopped working.
cameras fell asleep. too.
Yeah. Yeah, the cameras took a nap.
Cameron's fell asleep, too.
I mean, if Epstein, who was the most high-profile, background political propagator besides George Soros, got committed suicide in a suicide-proof room, You're telling me that Derek Chauvin can't get stabbed in prison? In prison, where the chefs will make the knives for you. I mean, it's easy. It's easy to do. That guy, I'm not a Blue Lives Matter guy. I've never been. I respect law enforcement, but I'm not like a Blue Lives Matter guy with the Punisher skull on my truck.
Well, I
But
respect good law
yeah,
enforcement.
I
I don't
respect
respect.
law enforcement too.
Yeah,
But
No, I mean,
I don't
they
respect
have
that.
that guy got
protected.
set up. That guy got set up bad.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a question that I want to. Do you really this? Let's go to the Epstein for a little while. Do you think he actually is dead, or is somewhere
Who?
somehow Epstein? He is dead, or he's in some black ops prison spewing names?
That's well, your imagination can run wild. It's
I
impossible
do
to
think
prove
he's dead
otherwise. I mean,
because he was the pansy. Um, Jeffrey Epstein
you mean
was
you mean Patsy, right?
patsy. Excuse me. Yeah, he was a patsy.
Patsy,
Jeffrey
Patsy.
Epstein, as messed up as he was, and he was a weirdo. Um,
Oh
really, the
yeah,
master behind it was Ghislaine Maxwell. She had all the connections. Her father was a double agent for Mossad. He also, actually, a lot of people don't
yeah,
know this. Are you guys familiar with McGraw Hill? The textbook makers are the largest textbook producers in the United States.
Yeah.
McGraw Hill was owned
Christina
by her
McGraw, yeah.
father. A lot of people don't know this. The McGraw Hill textbooks, for several decades, that company was owned by her father. So, I believe his name is Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell was a criminal double agent for the Mossad, and
yeah.
she's really the one with the connections. She was, if you really look into that stuff, she was the one running the show. He was simply the face of it. He was the poster boy, and he was the patsy.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
He
He
in
was
it,
the fall guy.
yeah, he was.
Whatever happened to her? Whatever happened to her? Actually, she's
I
still.
think she got 20 years
No, I think
parole.
remember when we talk about how she was a Reddit moderator and was
Yeah,
in
yeah,
New
yeah.
Jersey.
No, she had $1 million mansion, and I believe either New Hampshire. That's for some reason they just couldn't find her. She had $1 million mansion in New Hampshire, and she was a Reddit moderator.
Well, what about there was a lot of weird players in it. What about the Victoria's Secret? The Victoria's Secret guy. I forget his name. He owns
There
a
was a
lot of
Victoria's Secret guy.
brands. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not familiar with that case.
Wexner or
Oh,
something. Wexner.
Wexner,
Les Wexner.
Les Wexner.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I've heard of that
Yeah,
name.
that guy.
I'm not familiar with
He was
what.
connect. He was very connected to that blackmail, child sex trafficking, right?
Yeah,
This is
From
what I
Mexico.
think. Just hear me out for a second, and I will just hear and just disprove me or agree with me. They think that back in 2016, 17, when this Anthony Mack, this small actress, was found out, Putin and Trump, who actually are in respectable terms, they got together and say, "Hey, how about if we just dismantle this corporation?" And Putin said, "I'm game." So they got together. They got their the CIA and the FSB, which is the ex-KGB, together. They down Epstein and brought him into, and they started with this QAnon movement. Of course, I mean the deep state really had to rush in, and they created coronavirus to smear Trump's campaign, ending him up in the Biden administration. But the damage was already done. I mean, I'm in the team.
Well,
Imagine it's a team that had conspiranoid.
yeah.
Uh, how much of it is me masturbating on conspiracies, and
can
how
you
much
say
of it
that
is me
again?
making sense?
Can you say that again? Just summarize it. I'm sorry.
This is the thing. Around 2016, 2017, Trump and Putin got together and say, "Hey, how about if we dismantle the deep state?" So they formed QAnon, and they started cracking on these evil people. So the deep state, the evil people, the Illuminati, let's just call them, they started pushing back, and they created coronavirus to hold, to grind the campaign for a halt, because they were being haunted. And they used their connections to have Biden elected, and also to humiliate Trump with this sham
Well,
trial that he's having now.
The QAnon thing
there,
was very
there's
glowy, in my
yeah, yeah,
opinion. It was
yeah.
it
I
glowed off the
I have
map.
to agree with that.
Hey, dude,
Yeah, because
that dude, the stuff he was saying about a military takeover. I mean,
yeah,
dude, let's
yeah, a
let's
lot
get
of
a grip.
bullshit,
Yeah, the
a lot
predictions were
of
just.
bullshit.
He made
But
one good prediction, but go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry. There's some truth in what you're saying, and some of it's like a little too neat. But the thing is, you know what's the biggest enemy of Trump?
Who?
Himself.
Yeah.
He put
Yeah, I agree with
Anthony Fauci in his cabinet. He kept Anthony Fauci in his cabinet. He had Mike Pompeo in his cabinet. He
He
had
didn't choose those
John
people. He
Bolton in
didn't
his
choose those
cabinet.
people.
Well, that's the thing. They were on his cabinet and they were undermining all of his policies.
100%. Well, I mean, there was articles written about
So
this. I spoke about it in a couple podcasts ago, Anthony, where there was just straight up articles created in the New York Post and the New York Times saying, I work in the Trump administration. Me and all my other coworkers are constantly subverting his problematic agenda. Yeah, I mean, the Republican Party was. I would actually. I actually kind of agree with what Anthony's saying. Really, Trump's biggest enemy was himself trusting the Republicans. Mitch McConnell and the rhinos in that party were his worst enemies. They single-handedly destroyed his administration. It's actually to Trump's credit that administration was as successful as it was, because he had a full pushback against by the Democrats. The Democrats hated him up and down the board, but his own party was descending against him. And the biggest figures on the quote unquote conservative right, Ben Shapiro, Benny Johnson, all these Yehudis.
Mike Pence.
Yeah, Mike Pence, his own VP.
Mike Pence.
Well, he's not a Yehudi, but yeah, he's just, yeah, Mike Pence. But remember,
Yeah,
Ben
but he
Shapiro
was.
hates Trump. To this day, Ben Shapiro does not support
Everybody
Donald
backs.
Trump.
Pretty much everybody backstabbed him.
Yeah,
All his cabinet backstabbed him.
yeah.
That's why Vladimir Putin said that you can elect somebody president and you can have him to have the best intentions, but you have to deal with all the bureaucracy of people who resent
100%.
generations.
100%.
And since he was an outsider, he
Yes.
didn't understand this. He just assumed because he was the top guy, it was like the Trump Foundation. He ran the show. No, the people, the 1,000 or so cabinet members that work in the executive branch, they're the ones who really run the show, unfortunately, and they'll last longer than any president.
Yes.
Well, they're
So how
the
do you think
unelected deep state,
Yep.
basically.
they are the deep state?
Yeah, they're unnamed, unfaced. You don't know who they are, and they whenever they do a bad job, they'll just get thrown to another branch, or they'll go work in the private sector. Jen Psaki went from working in the Hillary campaign to being White House. What was it? The White House press. What was her role? She was.
Secretary.
Yeah. And then now she works for what, MSNBC? She got replaced by the lesbian black girl. I mean, it's like, dude, are you serious? And in 3 years, she's gonna go work for like Gavin Newsom.
You know who else works? You know who else works
I'm
for,
not being cruel. That's descriptive. She's the lesbian black girl. That's her whole thing.
You enjoy that a little bit.
Jen
You know
Psaki
who
was
else
hot.
works for that?
Jen Psaki was hot. I'll say, and I don't
I
really
don't know.
like redheads.
I'm sorry.
She was a
disagree
cute
with it,
girl.
but,
She was a cute girl.
I strongly disagree with it. I denounce and reject everything.
You like what you like? You like what you see now, Anthony? Is that what you're telling me? You like a little chocolate?
Well,
I think
come on,
Anthony's
man.
I think
It's
he
not-
likes
it's-
his chocolate. I think he
come
likes
on,
his chocolate dark.
Come
I
on,
think he
bro.
likes his chocolate dark.
That's not much. There's not much to pick there. Come
That
on.
is
But
an insult to injury. Come on. Okay. Anyway,
I was gonna say, do you know who else works for MSNBC?
Who?
Cool.
George W. Bush's press secretary. I forget her name.
Really?
Her name escapes me right now. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's one big club
Oh, yeah.
basically. They're all in cahoots. Yeah.
I got a question. Moving on. I got a question for you. Do you think that Donald Trump has a chance of going back to the game in next year?
Yeah, he's the most popular individual in politics right now. It's not Vivek Pupuswamy like the media wants to tell you. Nobody cares about that Punjab. It's all about Trump. It's the truth. He's not popular. Dude, he's getting in a
No.
cat fight with Nikki Haley at the Republican debate. Come on, dude, let's be real. It's Sigma that Trump is just completely foregoing the debate. That's how popular that guy is. He doesn't need to speak to those clowns. He's going to wait for the presidential race to go make fun of Gavin Newsom. That's the real show. Screw the Republicans, they're all bums. Trump is the
Guys
most
lie.
popular individual. I contest that Trump is the most successful political candidate I have ever seen in my entire life. It's not even close.
All right.
That
Do you think,
dude's fan base is insane. Name me, not even the Obama tards go out like the MAGA boys do.
All right. I'll. You
Well,
let
I was
speak.
thinking, I'm thinking, like
Go
I
ahead,
said,
John.
well, the question I have is like I think they're going to suspend elections because I think they're trying to
Oh,
push
yeah.
for a war in Iran. And like I said, the elections are at state levels. Like they count the votes and they send it to the electoral college with the presidential elections. So I'm like, they have like state of Florida has laws in the books, just like other states. I sent you guys the memo where they could legally suspend elections for like 90 days for a state emergency. So if we go to war, if the United States goes to war with like Iran or China, and there's a state of an emergency, say like 3 months from the election or whatever, they can suspend it, and then they officially suspend it indefinitely through Congress.
So they have all the incentive in the world to start war with Iran, basically.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Why not?
But
during the break.
but here's the problem.
Elections go to war with Iran.
Go ahead.
Here's the problem. Iran is not
Okay,
Iraq.
John,
That's the problem.
then we go finish with something. Anthony, please.
Yeah, Iran is not Iraq. It's not a pushover state. It's a giant country. They have
That's why they
advanced
state of
weaponry.
emergency.
They sold those drones to Russia, so very effective in the war in Ukraine. Iran have a lot of weapons that we don't even know about because they broke that deal, that nuclear, whatever that nuclear arms deterrence. Josh, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they had
They have like some kind of a deal.
as part of the
And-
deal that they would get like $67 million in exchange for
Yeah,
a treaty that said that they would stop or they would slow down their
nuclear weapons. Yeah.
nuclear.
So America backed out, as far as I understand, and now we don't know what they have. They could have anything. How long does it, Josh? Question for you, real quick. I'm sorry, Shane.
No, you're good, brother.
We'll do next.
Go
But
ahead. Please,
okay.
Anthony. Go ahead.
But Josh, how long do you, if you know, how long does it take to develop a nuclear weapon on average?
I mean, the thing is that it obviously requires the engineers and the scientists, and then as well as the access to the materials. Yeah, but I think Iran has all that. They have
The
everything.
Russians
they have all
have
the
that
engineers.
the Russians have that know-how anyway. They can give it to
Well, so do Iran. No, Iran
Yeah, of
has nukes. Iran's one of the biggest
Yeah,
nuclear
nukes.
warhead holders in the world. That's why nobody messes with them. America can front all at once. And actually, talking about nuking Iran, Josh, you and me were talking during the break. The Jerusalem Post recently made an opinion piece saying why it's necessary for America to preemptively strike Iran nuke. They say that Iran's going to strike Israel with a nuclear bomb, so America needs to go ahead and just nuke Iran off the map to stop that. It's already being pushed. That narrative of just blowing it up has already been pushed.
Yeah.
People need to stop
You know
playing
the
with that.
joke?
Iran's no joke.
There's speaking of a joke. There's this joke that says in 2003 there's in the White House the press secretary was saying we are going to go to Iraq to find out those weapons of mass destruction, and then the journalist says, "What about North Korea? Are you crazy? They have weapons of mass destruction."
Yeah. Good one, Mario.
Well, isn't that the whole point? Like having nukes is a deterrent
It is a
from
deterrent.
being
It's
attacked.
turn.
This is
That's all it
exactly what
is.
happened to. This is what exactly happened to Gaddafi. He gave the nukes, give up looking for nukes or trying to get nukes,
Well, yeah,
and he got
And-
stabbed in the ass.
and the
Right.
destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was a message to the Russians were actually lucky with their expansion.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like Iran's definitely gonna have. I mean, they have a delivery system that can reach Israel, can reach the United States at this point. To reach Europe. So I mean, they obviously have to have the package because North Korea has a package, and they don't have anywhere near the amount of resources or technology, and they've got their weapons. It's been proven under the Trump administration.
So this is the thing. I want to ask you a question. This is more a little bit on the international politics level. What made the Israelis and Saudi Arabia join forces? Because as far as I knew, they hated each other's guts.
Not true.
Now they have a common enemy, Iran. Isn't Iran Islamic as well as Saudi Arabia? Shouldn't it make more sense that Iran and Saudi Arabia
I actually would
get
love to
together
speak
against
on this if
Please go ahead.
possible.
Yes, please.
There's this fundamental misunderstanding that people need to remember that regardless of where you think they came from, Yahuds and Arabs are part of the same tribe to an extent. Of course, modern Israelis have a little bit more of Western and Eastern, especially Eastern European DNA because of their migration pattern. But for the most part, they are Semitic, and so are Arabs. And so this to an extent, of course, is really a brother war. It's a centuries old conflict between two siblings. Another aspect of this is the religious aspect. People need to understand. I actually have a video of a rabbi talking about this where he said that Muslims and Jews actually believe in the same God, and of course, then he said, "Oh, and then there's the Christians with their silly Trinity." The Yahuds and the Muslims do have actually quite a similar religion, and they view it as the same God. They actually view themselves in the same side of an opposition to Christians religiously. So this conflict between them is very surface level. You look at like the North African countries, they're Muslim, they're all allied with Israel, or they're allied with America, they're allied with Israel because America gives them money. Egypt, Libya, Morocco, Morocco especially, Algeria, a lot of the countries in the Levant, Lebanon, Jordan have a dicey, but they still have an allegiance to Israel. A lot of the Emirati and Arab nations also have an allegiance to Israel because of oil and money, weapons as well. So it's being Muslim. That's a screen that Western media has created for you. There's actually not much of a conflict over the religious part. They actually individually have more of a disdain for the Christian religion than they do for each other. And that's something that's not spoken of about enough. Even the Orthodox Jews, the Yahuds, still view Islam as a version of their religion, an Arabic version of their religion.
So in a way, you're saying that they're cousins fight for the spoils.
More, they're brothers. There's the Arabs think they're the sons of Ishmael, who was one of the he was the son of Abraham with his servant, and of course Israelis think they're the descendants of Jacob, and more specifically Judah. So they view themselves as brothers.
So this is okay. Let me put it into perspective.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, can I?
5,000 years ago, with one man having two jealous brothers.
Mm-hmm.
One man having two jealous sons who are brothers, who hated their gods, and they separate their families, and they fight
to an extent. These things are more cultural. It's more of subconscious cultural thing. It's just that this deep hatred is just not there. They don't really disagree over the religious part is not a disagreement. It's really not. And also you have to remember Saudi Arabian Islam is very different from the Iranian.
Iranian.
Yep.
It's Shia versus Sunni.
Yeah.
But can I? I want to thank you, Unchained. I want to make a geopolitical analysis of the situation. You made a great religious analysis, but I want to focus on the, if I may,
By all
focus
means.
on the geopolitics. And you
Yeah,
may
go ahead.
disagree with me, and that's fine. There's a couple of, well, there's about 2 or 3 reasons why Iran. I can get into why they were fighting each other. That's a different. We can talk about that later. But anyways, there's about 2 or 3 reasons why they're closer. Reason number one, they're both joint BRICS. So in their economic interest to become trading partners. So when you're trading partners, you don't want to fight each other. You don't want to have proxy wars against each other like they had in Yemen or in Iraq and Syria. Right? Reason number two, situation in Palestine is uniting all Muslims because they have a responsibility to have solidarity with Palestine. They're seeing the genocide that's going on. They're seeing what the Zionists are doing to the civilians. That they're killing these civilians at astronomical rates. So what is it like for every Hamas person they kill like 30 civilians or 40 civilians, 50 civilians, something crazy like that, right? So the world is seeing that now. The narrative is changing. I can see it. Uh, Everybody was before pro-Israel, pro-Israel, pro-Israel. Now you're seeing a lot of people saying, okay, so they kind of overblew it, right? We get what happened October 7th or whatever. They're trying to get Hamas, but now it's like it's looking at something else. It's no longer about getting Hamas. It's about removing the Palestinians from Gaza, basically, to expose or expel them from Gaza. That's the ultimate goal. As far as I see it. I could be wrong. This is, and
We
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
thank you, Anthony. We have reached the almost completion. It was 5 minutes until the deadline. So I would like to start with the closing remarks on this show. Josh, would you like to start?
Uh, I mean, basically, yeah, we covered some global type situations with the men's issues, depopulation, some political stuff. I mean, for the most part, like I said, it's we're in really uncertain times, but I mean, you can see that at any time in history. The main thing is like I think people, like you could be in two camps. You can either be like, not get an F and then just play video games and eat potato chips and drink, goy slop and hang out in your basement and just wait for the collapse of the apocalypse. Or you could go out and be proactive and you can basically create a name for yourself and be a better person, be a Sigma. You know what I mean? Um, Choice is yours. Like I said, it's do you want to lead or do you want to follow? So that's your two options in life. And me personally, I like to be a leader. I strive to be the best that I can be, and um, I try to lead by example, and then hopefully people follow.
Thank you, Josh.
Mhm.
Anthony, would you like to say something? The closing statement.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure to come on your podcast. To share my viewpoints. You may add to my viewpoints. You might find them interesting or insightful, or you might think I'm talking a lot of bullshit, whatever the case may be. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to share my views, and I hope some people took away some knowledge and some new information. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for being with us and to grace you to grace us with your presence. Pulish Usano, closing statement for today's show.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on the show once more. I always enjoy the conversations. It was a fun little show today, I have to say. I really enjoyed it, so hope we keep doing this.
That's the idea. Anyway, today's been actually it's a great show today. We talked about more eternal things. We talked about what makes a man, how to stave off the upcoming onslaught of our morals, our values, how to remain righteous, how to find yourself in many moments of uncertainty. Of course, we dwelled into geopolitics. We learned about some conspiracy theories. It was all in all, it was a really good show, and I like it because the idea that we grow as people and we grow as beings, not only as professionals in this podcast service, but it gives us also a sense of purpose. I mean, I come here with the sense of how am I going to share myself. I never saw myself as an example of anything, but sometimes life throws you a curveball, you just gotta take it. I find myself with a purpose. I find myself waking up enthusiasm on how I'm going to make this show the best show I can make it. And the feedback I'm getting with my host Josh and Polish, my regular coach, and some others who come around and say, hey, can I chime in? Can I do something? Can I say something? And also to see the metrics that we are growing, it makes me happy because that's the thing. Josh calls Sigma stoic, but in other case, he's a man with a purpose. And we want to thank our dear audience for having this chance for becoming purposeful, uh, to give us the chance to look at life and say I matter, because to transcend is to impact lovingly in those who mattered, and that's what we do. I believe we are transcend by impacting positive loving and loving in all of you, dear listeners. So thank you. And of course, you're welcome to join us, just as Anthony did today, or as Liberty Rising did as the show was one. Please come, share your thoughts, share your grief. We are here, and we are happy to have you. For that, it's almost it's right now we're at the. Thank you so much for being with us, and God willing, with you on Friday, 8 p.m. Miami time. And thank you, and good night, and good luck. All the best, best of success.
Also, don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends about us and like us. Remember, you help us grow, and we are in the search of improving our gears. We would like to have better scenography, better bandwidth, uh, maybe an intro with music, so we can just copyright the music. The idea is to give you the best show we can get. Thank you. Good night. Good luck.